So here's a challenge. We have to find the sum of all even numbers squared. So we have an array, const numbers. Let's say the array is this array. Sum of all even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, 8 squared. First, we have to find the even numbers. Then we have to square the even numbers. Then we have to find the sum of even numbers. We no longer use for loop as we've used in around a dozen problems. So we use higher order array methods like map, filter, find, reduce. And how do they work? Well, higher order array methods, for example, say map, they usually append to an array like this. Then they take a function. This function takes an argument, and this argument represents one item, each of items independently, like of the array that is the map is appended to. So now if we look at our console, we see 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. However, we can even do like 3.5, like add 3.5 to each item, and we all see 4.55 like this. So the high order array method, whether it's map, filter, find, reduce, sum, or every, takes a function. This function takes an argument, at least one argument. And we can deal, this argument represents one item in your array, and you can deal with this item however you want. They have specialties. For example, map have a specialty of mapping or looping through your array, and just doing something about it. Like if you have an object here, you could retrieve the name or something like that. It's just that you can use it as a loop. So let's say map for ordinary loop. Then you have filter. Filter is for filtering out your array, things in your array. For example, we have this array, but we want an array that is smaller than 3. We want every item that's smaller than 3. So let's do numbers dot filter function x return where x smaller than 4. Now let's just console it actually. Console.log x smaller than 4. Now we have 3 true, 6 false. So we have 3 true, 6 false. This filters out the array. Something like reduce takes 2 arguments. It's a bit more complex. Numbers.reduce. Your function takes 2 arguments like base and item or x. Then whatever you put here after the function represents your base. For example, if you want to calculate the entire array together, you say return base plus item. That is return base 0 plus item plus 1, then plus 2, it becomes 3, then like that. So it calculates things based on your base. This is very important because later we will check this method more. You can turn your base with anything you want. You can turn it into an object. You can turn it into like your item, something in the position or 2 or something like that, and you can modify the new array you have according to that. By the way, something very important, higher order array methods, what they do, they return a new array. So they do not modify the old array. They do not touch the old array. They return a new array. But why do I mention this to solving our challenge? Well, because in this challenge we will use these high order array methods. Let's find even numbers with map. Let's create a function even squared, and this function takes an array. Then array.map. Another thing before actually solving it is you might sometimes see something like this: .map x x. This is a valid function in JavaScript. You can literally say like let me just check it for you, like console.log hello $. Let's see if that works. Uncorrupted cannot access numbers before. Yeah, so we try to access numbers before it's initialized, but we don't have anything. Well, we have to name it, of course. Const something equals to we still don't have anything. Because we haven't called something. Yeah, so this is a valid way of writing function, and if you see it like this, it's just because people want it to be shorter. Like there's a couple of more differences. You don't need curly braces if your code is one line. You don't need the word function, things like that. But this is another topic. Let's find out about array.map, how to actually first let's use filter to find even numbers. Let's give it item, and item how do we know if the item is so if the item by 2 is equal to 0, then that means const evens, that means your evens are if your item is divisible by 2 and is equal to 0, the result, then it's an even number. Then const squared equals evens dot map item multiplied twice by 2. So this makes it squared. Then const summed equals squared dot reduce base item we don't need this since we write it on one line. Then we say base plus item, then we can return summed. Let's see what we have. Function const newer equals even squared numbers, and console.log newer. We have 120, which is to let's check it. Console.log evens, then console.log squared. We have summed already, so let's check it. So evens we have 2, 4, 6, 8. Squared we have 4, 16, 36, 64. Then summed up, these summed up equals to 120. However, we can make this even shorter with higher order array methods. we can chain them. There is something called chaining. So if we just let's remove this, let's remove this as well, and let's remove this as well, and let's remove this. So you'll say return array.filter array.filter this, then chain events.map, then chain dot squared. Sorry, we don't need evens anymore, we don't need squared anymore, because we chain it on the same thing. Like when we say chain this over this, it chains over this. When we say chain this over this, it chains over the result of this. So we don't need naming. And if we check now, let's see if we have 120, we have 120. And if we change it here to 1011, we have something 220. So this is how high order array methods work. We will try others, but for now, please learn how map works, how filter works, and reduce is a bit more difficult. I'll get into reduce more, but know that like you have around 6 methods that you might need. Map, definitely. Filter, definitely. Find, definitely. Reduce, sometimes. Sometimes every, sometimes. Map, filter, find. If you're working with the UI framework like React, you definitely need one of these methods once in a while. Thanks.